going on YouTube. Interesting. Hashtag no music, no intro. Another late night episode of the Saints Block Party podcast. We are honored to have our esteemed guest join us from Phil Vision Sports, Scott Bouska, former VP at Nike, now with Phil Vision. With if you listen to our podcast before, we've had the stellar, loquacious, just an insane football mind of Cody Alexander on, who's also part of Phil Vision. So we wanted to get Scott on here and just talk to us about Phil Vision, and I'll kind of talk about how I came across Scott that led to us even having this conversation. But thank you so much for just hopping on last minute, joining us, and talking Phil Vision, man, and talking sports data.
Hey, fellas, thanks for having me on, and I appreciate it. It's going to be fun. I just have to tell you and the listeners, if you had Cody on, I don't know near as much about football as Cody. I,
Not many people
I,
do.
hey, I saw on Cody's Instagram that he was at a concert, and I was like, that's the first time I've seen you in a picture without a football.
What concert was it?
Uh, it was Third Eye, I think Third Eye Blind, which should not be surprising if you know Cody. Yeah. So, but I'll do
makes
my
sense.
best. I'll do my best.
It makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Cody is awesome, man. Like we had him on like 2 months ago, and I was just like, I didn't. I mean, I kind of knew what to expect, but like hearing him in person, it was just like, golly, like, bro,
Yeah,
why aren't you on the NFL team right now, bro?
Please.
like when you talk to a lawyer or a doctor and they speak in like, it's like
Yeah.
Cody only speaks football. And he's
Yeah.
even if you know a lot about football, half the things he says like don't make complete sense because he's
He
just
made
like
me
talk.
realize how little I actually know about football, and I
Yeah, I
like
was like,
and I
damn, I'm
like
dumb.
pride myself on knowing quite a bit about football.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, so just so you guys know, we were in the early days of Field Vision. We were like, I was looking for a quote unquote football expert. I'm like, I need a dude who knows a ton about football, and I found Cody. I talked to him for like 5 minutes, and I was like, yeah, this is the dude.
Yeah, this is the guy. This is
Yes,
the guy.
this is it. This is it. So for our listeners, so just to give our listeners who are listening or watching this, you can follow Phil Vision on Twitter. It's at Phil Vision MI. You guys are also on Instagram, right, Scott?
Yeah, at Field Vision Sports on Instagram.
So just break it down to people who watching or listening. What is Phil Vision? And I got some graphs that you posted from the Twitter account X. Sorry, I'm always going to call it Twitter. I apologize. I don't apologize actually. But what exactly is the mission and the vision of Field Vision? No pun intended.
Yeah, so we call ourselves a predictive analytics company. What we would say is we're the first uh, predictive analytics football platform built specifically for fans. And I would say our mission is to put the information that teams, coaches, GMs, and sportsbooks have, like put that information into the hands of fans. A lot of the stuff you'll see us post on Twitter, kind of the scatter charts, the advanced
Right.
analytics, are actually a little bit more geared towards like heavy analytics. We'll be launching a product in September, which is a mobile app, which will be much more consumer friendly. Quite frankly, like people sitting on their couch on Sunday looking to watch the Saints play and wanting to know like, is Rashid Shaheed going to go over or under his 50-yard receiving prop?
Nice. That's something I think we've all been wanting for a long time. Like I know there's plenty of products out there. There's, PFF, Football Outsiders for a while. There's plenty others. But something that's really digestible to fans, and someone that doesn't assume fans are dumb. Because I mean, football fans are pretty smart these days, man. Like
Yeah, man.
they want data. Like there's so much data out there. We just want it. We crave for it, and it's. I have a background in data. I was a database administrator. I work in business analytics and stuff like that. And I myself, I try to go out and find NFL data to compile together and put together, but it's everywhere. It's like, where do
Yeah.
you even start to get all this data? So how do you guys go about getting all this NFL data? Do you deal with different APIs and bring in the data, or do you guys have guys that sit down and crunch the tape and chart players? How do you guys do it?
Yeah, we have. It's a good question. We have access to a couple different APIs, but my co-founder actually is a data scientist. So we have a couple data scientists on staff, and what we did is we bought a bunch of play-by-play data going back several years, and we've been trying to model that data to tell us when we see certain defensive variables present themselves. What does that tell us about what's going to happen on offense? So we're Adam, you mentioned our Twitter handle. I still call it Twitter too, by the way. Is at
Good man.
at Field Vision MI. The MI actually stands for Matchup Index. So we're high centered on this idea of the Field Vision Matchup Index, and what we would say is we understand matchups better than anyone else in football. And so when we get into Week 1, like if you take Chiefs, Ravens, which by the way I'm from Kansas City, so I'm a Chiefs fan, but I was cheering for them for a lot of years before they were ever good. I just need to say that.
Just got to throw it out there. Just got to put it out there.
But no. So when we get into Chiefs Ravens September 5th, Week 1, like we'll have a point of view on the Chiefs playmakers versus the Ravens defense, and which of them is going to match up best based on what we know the Ravens are going to do on defense. So you can imagine on a week to week basis, Field Vision is going to be coming with of the 250 playmakers in the NFL. Here's the 10 we're telling you have a matchup that you can bank on. And it might go the opposite way as well, right? We might
Right.
say like the Saints are playing the Bucks this week, and their defense matches up really well against what the Buccaneers are trying to do on offense.
Interesting. And so, to that point, going back to that example with the Chiefs Ravens Week 1 matchup, how does Field Vision, the matchup index, account for? And I don't know if this is more of a Cody piece with the Ravens defensive coordinator now being the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks and them having a new defensive coordinator of the schemes and things like that. Like I'm just curious of how that works.
Yeah. How nerdy do you want me to go here?
Go nerd us
Nerd out,
out,
man.
Scott. It's
You
after
haven't met our
hours.
you haven't met our listeners. We got some nerds, serious nerds.
Defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, and coaching trees are definitely a thing, right? And so we think about coordinators through the lens of clustering, right? So you've got like a Shanahan, McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Mike McDaniel coaching tree, right? Who run offenses with similar like this. It's a cluster of similar offensive principles. And we would say defense is the same way. So like
Right.
the Ravens, Mike McDonald leaves. They've got a guy who's coming up through his coaching tree. We kind of have to assume, to be honest
Right.
with you, that
Right.
what they're going to do on defense is going to look pretty similar. But quite frankly, like we're going to know a hell of a lot better after we get through Week 1, Week 2 of the season.
Right.
Right.
And you adjust as you go on.
Yeah, and you always want to weight more heavily towards the things that happened recently. But one thing I can tell you is when there is a defensive coordinator, their defensive tendencies are they're pretty predictable.
Yeah.
Like you know what they're gonna do.
They are who they are.
Yeah, totally.
That's so fascinating that you guys are focusing on matchups, because I think that's like I think you kind of found a niche there, because that seems like that's been one of the missing components you see with a lot of sites that bring NFL data, because they throw all this data at you. Hey, Rashid Shaheed does this. He does this versus zone versus man, or Chris Olave does this versus zone or man. Blah blah blah. This quarterback, but the specific matchup against who they're facing this week, their strengths versus your strengths or your weaknesses, and vice versa. That's a niche that I just hadn't seen out there, man. I think you're onto something.
Even
Hey,
going back to the Ravens Chiefs example, right, in the playoffs, the matchup that the Chiefs bet on it was Travis Kelsey versus Kyle Hamilton. Like that was the matchup, right, in that game, and the Chiefs and Andy Reid were betting that Travis Kelsey would get the best of Kyle Hamilton, who was an All Pro, mind you. Like that was just good
Yep.
on good.
Yep.
It's fascinating, fascinating.
Yep. Yep. What actually in that, and I think we posted some stuff super early on, which we'll probably come back to it. But what was interesting to me about that game is actually the other side of the ball. And if you so what Spags did to the Ravens is he he played a bunch of man
Yeah.
and he blitzed. And
Blitzed.
it's like what so playing man usually a death sentence against Lamar Jackson unless you can blitz him and get home. And so he
Yeah.
was so he actually like if you dig into it, you're like on a surface level, you're like the Chiefs are going to play man against the Ravens, they're going to get smoked. But like they played man, and every time they played man, they blitzed and they got home, which is was a little bit at least last year of Jackson's kryptonite.
Yeah. And if I recall correctly, I believe Spags ran quite a bit of cover zero against the Ravens. Like
Right.
he was just like he was just bringing it. I mean, Lamar. I remember him after the game saying like, "We weren't prepared for Spags blitz." And I was like, "What? Like, how can you not be
Yeah.
prepared?" But that just goes to how well. That just goes
Yeah.
to how well Spags schemed it up, man. Like that was quite a performance. I remember that one.
Yeah.
But even
It's
going back,
bad that I know this, but I think he blitzed on like 46% of snaps in that game.
Yeah. Damn.
even going back to right, we're talking about matchups, right? Lamar's first playoff game in the NFL was against the Chargers. And the Chargers did the exact same thing with Derwin James in terms
Yep.
of had him close to the line of scrimmage, had them blitzing. I remember that game just very vividly. And kind of fast forward to Lamar years later, and defenses, because we're kind of going with that same premise, defenses that still operate and play that way are still giving him fits, assuming that the defense works, right? Like you had, like it
Yeah.
can't just be a defense that's
Totally.
just blitz 46% of the time and just assume that it's going to work, because it does not work like that. But just it's fascinating, very very
Yeah.
exciting stuff.
Yeah. Well, one dude, which I was in prepping for this thinking about like. By the way, I'm a huge Willie Gay fan,
Oh,
but like
talk
if
to
if
us.
if if you're gonna employ a strategy like that, you got to have linebackers like Willie Gay who can
Athletes.
shadow a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. And actually Chiefs had two of them, Willie Gay and Drew Tranquil. But that's a big part of like because if Lamar gets loose and you're playing cover zero and everyone's backs turned to him, you're smoked,
Night
Wow.
nights,
right? But
night night.
but like the Chief, which Willie Gay is one of them, like having a linebacker who can run with quarterbacks like that's a huge asset.
And that's
And
really
that's been
fascinating. Yeah. Go
go
ahead.
ahead. I know you already know the point you're about to
We're
make.
about to say the same thing. I mean, we like this. That's been like the Achilles heel because Dennis Allen, through I say since 2017, 18, has had a pretty consistent defense for the most part. But the one Achilles heel has been against mobile quarterbacks. And look, mobile quarterbacks hurt everybody, but it just stood out for him because like man, he would shut down Tom Brady, have Tom Brady looking like a bottom tier quarterback, and then the next week you have Jalen Hurts just running all over the place. So it's like, what
Just
is
going
going
nuts.
on? Yeah, so I think, them getting Willie Gay this offseason, I think that was really a position they targeted, not only to compete with Pete Werner, but to fill that void as someone who could shadow mobile quarterbacks that could move, somebody that could blitz, somebody that could cover. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, they didn't pay him a bunch of money, but I think from what we've heard, he's penciled in as far as if not a starter, a huge contributor.
Right. Um, Getting back to, I wanted to kind of go how I kind of found Scott. Sorry, I was going through finding the tweet, and just getting it out there on Twitter that we are live. But the tweet that just magically was just on my timeline when, in terms of like finding Scott, was your comments that you said regarding Aaron Rodgers, right? Just in regards to leadership, right? So this is
Oh
from
yeah.
June 12th. And I
Yeah.
said, and you said, where Aaron Rodgers is, what he's doing, whether it was excused, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's called leadership. People follow the examples of leaders, and whether Rodgers admits it or not, he's setting the standard. He's not setting the standard for his team, or he is setting the standard for his team. Excuse me. Rodgers
Yep.
forgot how to lead a long time ago.
Mm,
Just chef's kiss.
straight up. Straight up.
I mean, we're talking. We talked about this before we started recording. You were a BP at Nike for a number of years, right? Like, leadership. I'm currently in a manager role in my job in my career. Being a social worker, leadership is something that when you are a leader, you set the tone. Like you set the tone, you set the stage, everything. And so that was just so crystallized regarding just how the whole Jets operation has been lately. And I guess a question to you is is that a reflection on Robert Saleh too, to some degree, a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I explicitly remember when you responded to that and when that tweet, and I really appreciate it because it wasn't actually like, look, I'm working in football now, but um, that was less of a comment for me having anything to do with football. It was more like
Oh, I know.
a lot of years of managing pretty big teams at Nike, and quite
Right.
frankly, like having three little kids. And it's like like you lead by example, and if you're not willing to put in the work, it's like, I'm the founder of this company, Field Vision, and you guys are like, you want to get on at 9 p.m. at night. I'm like, yeah, I'll get on at 9 p.m. at night because I'm, I'm working every night. If I
Riding.
expect our team to be doing that, I should be willing to do it too. So somewhat what's weird is that I think somewhere along the way Rogers forgot that, and
Mm,
it's almost like he became so full of himself, his ego got so big that he's like, I don't have to do that anymore.
right.
And
Like it's too
yeah,
good for it.
well, I think it's like mostly an indictment on Jets culture and of course the leadership of
Exactly.
Saleh because he is not treated as or never thought about himself as the leader of that team. It's Rodgers, right?
Right.
And when
Right.
Rodgers
Exactly.
just does whatever he wants to, I think their season's doomed before it starts.
So, tell me more about your background. Coming from Nike, what was your background there, and how did what made you want to get into this?
So I spent 12 years at Nike, mostly in started in corporate strategy, kind of like strategy, went into innovation, went into footwear, and then most recent job was I led most of what we call our business operations. Um, but man, I started my career a long time ago in finance, doing the Wall Street thing, and I absolutely hated it. And I ended up quitting that job, and I spent a couple years as an NFL agent working for a guy named
Wow.
Craig Doman, who's actually an agent based out of Colorado Springs. And so
Okay.
I have always been trying to like angle my career into sports. And quite frankly, it's like I love sports. I'm passionate about sports. And I'm probably most passionate about like the difference sports made in my life and the difference it makes in like kids' lives as they're growing up
Yeah.
playing it. So I've always wanted to build my career in and around sports and specifically in and around football. This just happened to be the right time where it's like 12 years at Nike. Like you work at a company that big, I was getting like farther and farther away from the reason I actually came to the company in the first place,
Right.
Right.
which is like,
Right.
yo, this is a cool company that's about sport and like just do it. And quite frankly, like by the end of it, we're just selling shoes, like selling as many shoes as we can, you know. So look, here I am, kind of building a company with a group of dudes that I like, and I think we're doing something cool. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Well, we just the data that's kind of been posted on Twitter so far is just it very informative. It's very eye catching. I think visual statistics and like visual models for people who are visual people is so prevalent and so necessary in like 2024. So just it being just as eye popping as it is, and it just kind of helps. Even no matter where your level of football understanding is, high level, low level, it just makes it kind of easier for everyone to kind of see the picture that the data is saying.
Yeah. Well, I think Wolf, you said it earlier, but um, I think there's a real nuance to simplifying data down out of like football nerddom, PFF like metrics that you don't understand, but also not taking for granted how smart fans actually are. and
Right.
and and so like we're trying to hit that balance. Like I said, the mobile app that we launched in September it'll look a little different than what we've been posting on Twitter, but I'll send you guys some, like we'll send you guys some screenshots like as we like start
Yeah.
to develop the product. But yeah, we're hoping it hits that kind of delicate like visual balance.
Oh,
I'm trying to.
absolutely, man. I'm definitely can't wait to see. And I want to ask you. I wanted to ask you if you can explain EPA
Oh,
to the listeners.
right on
But
top
you
of it.
know,
Right.
yeah, a lot of us know what it is, but a lot of it,
Wait, that's not sure.
like for me, like it's so hard for me to explain it. Though. I was trying to explain it to my coworker today. I was like, damn, I'll just send you a link, man. I don't.
Yeah,
I can't.
we might need Cody for this.
Yeah.
The
Expect.
well, yeah, I'll try something out on you guys. I'll see if you agree with me because I've been having this debate with people on our team for a while. So, EPA expected points added is in theory it attributes a value to every single play in a game,
Right.
right? That's trying to equate a certain amount of points to it. So like when we post all of those when we post those like field area graphs, like deep passes are worth a ton of EPA, right? Because
Right.
you're taking 50 yards and a chunk down the field, and like you may even get
Right.
a touchdown. So it's very heavily weighted towards explosive plays
Right.
and chunk yardage. The way that it's easiest for me to think about is actually if you get, because a lot of times you see either like EPA per play or like
Right.
total EPA for a whole season. There's a like I like to look at it as EPA per game. And if you look at it as EPA per game, like so CeeDee Lamb in 2023 led the league for receivers in terms of like total EPA. He generated 107 expected points added throughout the course of a season. If you divide 107 by 16, let me just make sure I got my math right, or by or by 17, that equals 6.3 expected points added per game. And so what you're basically saying is like last year for the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb was worth 6.3 points a game. Like if you were to take him out and put an average receiver in, he's giving you 6.3 points per game. So it's a metric that's trying to say like this is how much someone contributed to the total points a team generated in a given game. I think it's most consumer friendly when you look at it on a per game basis. And I
Right.
don't know if that helped at all.
It does. It does. And I
It
think,
does.
it's just looking at the number. I remember when I first started looking at it, it wasn't intuitive. When you first look at it, like, okay,
Yeah.
0.83, like it's plays a 0.83. What does that mean in the grand scheme? But like you said, like once you look at it like per game, and especially if you apply it to, you know, what this specific player brings per game as far as EPA, it definitely makes more sense.
It does. It does. I'm actually trying to share like the screen so it can actually like come up, and let's see if it works. Yes, no, maybe so. I don't know if it's working or not.
It's coming. Yep.
All right. Okay. I might need to like. I can't really make it bigger. Sorry.
Can you click on the picture?
Oh, duh. I'm smart. All right. So, so this is the field area profile for Derek Carr last season, his first season with the Saints. We're just talking about EPA. So I'm guessing this EPA 29.5 and this total EPA. This is only just passing yards is 128.1. So just for people who are going to be utilizing Field Vision in the future on the app in September, give us like a very maybe like layman terms breakdown of what this says about Derek Carr's season last year.
Well, in general, what this says is that Derek Carr was a very average quarterback. If in super layman's terms, if he's generally in all of this stuff falling between 11th and 15th. Um, but what it also tells you is that and Derek Carr has been doing this since he played for the Raiders. Is he's basically either going to check down or chuck it downfield,
Right.
right? And, and I was actually surprised when we put this together because you see the deep left part of the field, but also deep center. Like he's generating a ton of extra value, and so what this also includes, which Derek Carr is notorious for, and if you're a fan playing against him, it pisses you off every time, is like he'll chuck it downfield and get a pass interference penalty, which is accounted for in these numbers. And so you see like he's really good deep left, deep middle. And then we didn't highlight it, but if you look actually the short left side of the field, he was third in the league in that 0 to 10 yards, which is essentially him checking down, right?
Right.
Checking down to a tight end or a running back. Um, so like that, this profile checks out for Derek Carr. If you look at that shaded box in the upper left hand corner, he lost 100 points of EPA
Ooh, right
either
there.
like either when he was under pressure, sacked, right, or like didn't throw a pass, which is so it feels like a lot. It was the 13th most in the league, so this it's actually not out of the ordinary. We did this profile for Geno Smith, and it actually showed something very similar. But if you go look at a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Lamar Jackson, that the difference between total EPA and the EPA that they lost to sacks is going to be way lower, right? Because basically like they do a really good job of avoiding negative plays, because those are drive killers, right?
Right.
And so that is what I would say. Like that right there is actually what makes Derek Carr a pretty average quarterback. Is like
Right.
he doesn't have a huge ability to like create out of structure and or avoid the negative play.
Right.
Right.
And also, it seems like, I mean, just my experience in watching him last season, and obviously they brought in Clint Kubiak, kind of going back to the whole coaching tree thing and what have you, is they hope that Clint Kubiak, in essence, as an offensive coordinator, can help him, like, just make the offense just very easy, just read, throw. Because what I noticed last season is that when he's like had this, 'cause this is gonna sound like insane, but like when he had to read a defense, like it was nights. Like it was
Yeah.
like, it,
Yeah.
which led to a lot of sacks because like the processing that needed to be there wasn't there. So like that 100% aligns with that.
Yeah. I I was looking this up before we got on to, and the Saints I think were 22nd in the league last year, EPA generated in the running game, and so like if you're and they are traditionally a much better running team, right? And so like if you're gonna have Derek Carr as your quarterback, you got to be able to run the ball, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want Derek Carr in third and tens. Like you want
No.
you want him in third and threes. And so I and Kubiak coming from like underneath his dad, right? Of like the Terrell Davis
Yep.
Broncos of the mid '90s. Like hopefully he can figure that out.
Yeah, yeah. I think what they intend to do is a lot of play action from under center, outside zone, offensive linemen moving laterally, some boot action and stuff like that. Get Derek Carr in the move a little bit. And just high low reads. Try to keep it simple. And one thing I was fascinated by that. What you had up earlier was the middle of the field, and this drove us crazy last year just watching the
I'll
Saints.
go
It's
back
like
to it. Yeah.
we were like, why aren't we targeting the middle of the field? And it was hard for me to figure out if it wasn't the offense because Pete Carmichael was a week to week play caller. You didn't know what to expect. And, or was it Derek Carr? Could he not read? Could he not see the middle of the field? Stuff like that. But it was just good to see this, like this, and be like, okay, it wasn't just my eyes. Like you could see this within the data that he was horrible in the middle of the
Yeah,
field.
yeah, yeah. I generally that intermediate zone of the field, right? Which is it's between 10 and 20 yards. Like I think about those are like the stick movers, right?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
those are it's like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, when you got to throw it past the sticks and you're getting 12,
Boom.
15-yard passes.
Yep.
Because if you look at a like the success rates deep are low, like they just are,
Right.
right? You're taking
Makes
Right.
shots.
sense. Yep.
So like Derek Carr actually like 48% success rate, 46-33 is pretty good. But like in theory, you want that intermediate part of the field to be like high success rate and generating pretty decent
Right.
EPA, which he tends to struggle there.
Yeah. Quite a bit. Getting back to, oops, not that. Getting back to staying with the Saints offense, you had put this out too before we were started to record today. Is just the receiver profile. So we have the average success rate, and then the expected play average per play when targeted. So you said, look at the Saints playmakers in 2023. They didn't add a ton in the wide receiver room in the offseason. Is anyone going to take a leap in 2024? So no Michael Thomas, no Len Bowden. It seems like they're really banking on Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, maybe some Cedric Wilson, and maybe some growth from A.T. Perry, and more than likely, I would say AK being used more in the passing game than he has been the last couple of years to kind of hopefully help Derek Carr in those areas.
Yeah, I mean, I would be curious. Like you guys know better than me. I would have liked to see the Saints add another playmaker in the offseason. Like it doesn't. I don't know. Shaheed's not like I actually really like Shaheed.
Yeah.
He's a really good number 3 threat deep. Like I just don't know who their number 2 is. I'd be curious your point of view on that.
No, it's like the big question going into this offseason. We were screaming for who was the
Brock,
tight end
Brock,
from
Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers. We were screaming for him
Oh yeah,
in the draft, but we knew it was,
one
we
one
knew
pick away, Ryan. One pick
one
away.
pick away, but we knew offensive line was like was a huge target for them. But yeah, I mean, it's a big hole. When Michael Thomas gone, the hope is kind of like a A.T. Perry, but he only had 12 catches last year. Lot of talent, a lot of potential there, but it's still just potential. They drafted Bub Means like in the 5th round. Again, potential, but we don't know. So yeah, it's just a huge question mark as far as what are they going to do there. There is some expectations for the tight ends to step up a little bit, but
Right.
Jawan Johnson he's hurt his foot. We don't know how long he's going to be out. I mean, we didn't even know like how much he was going to be contributing. So I mean, it's just a lot of questions there. The hope I know is that for Alvin Kamara to get involved more in the pass game. I see him there. He had what was that? Is that a 4.5 yard average depth of target? Like you can look at that, but just if you look at the eye test, like if you actually look at the tape, Alvin Kamara is like there's still a lot there. Like all Saints fans, most people would say is like, come on, man. It was definitely a way he was used that was definitely a problem, and the kind of the hope is that Clint Kubiak will add a little more flavor to his skill set because Alvin Kamara is like a very skilled runner. He's a very skilled passer, not just check downs, but like literally running routes out the backfield, lining up in the slot, on the outside. He could do it all. So I think that's part of the
yeah.
hope. But yeah, man, it is a big question, man, when you look at it like that.
I will say it feels like the team also felt it too. So I don't know if I'd say this during our draft recap. The team really wanted to add a big receiver in
Yep.
round two. Like they really wanted to, and I don't, Xavier Leggett. I'm forgetting who the Bills drafted, Keon Coleman.
Yeah,
But the
Keon
run,
Coleman.
yeah, the run happened before they got on the clock, and then they kind of just went BPA and took Kool-Aid McKinstry. But it was a area that they really wanted to add that in the draft. I also, even though he's not big, I think they would have also liked to draft Lat McConkey, who went to the Chargers. So
Yeah.
the way that you see it is how kind of the team saw it as well, and it just didn't play out with the way they wanted to in the draft.
Yeah. Is there any buzz with Means coming out of like OTAs?
Not much. Like, you know,
It's like
he's still, but
fifth
he's one
round
of those players.
speedster.
Yeah, I mean, his head is still spinning, but from everything I've heard, he's physical. Him and Spencer Rattler had a kind of a nice connection early in OTAs and minicamp. So it's one of those things where we just got to see how training camp plays out. It's going to be huge for him because I think he's going to get a lot of opportunity, and I think
Yeah.
he has the skill set to succeed. But again, we talking about rookies, so you just never know.
Yeah.
We do have a question from a listener, our dude Dante. He said, with fans becoming smarter, do you, Scott, feel that the NFL is adapting fast enough to what fans want to know?
Well, if did you say it was Dante?
Yeah.
If he's here, I'd dig a little deeper, but no, I think the answer is no. Like I actually think there's a real opportunity on some of these broadcasts to
Yeah.
do so much more than just like Jim Nance talking at you.
Completely
Like
agree.
showing some of these advanced metrics. Like, I mean, I could even see like displaying some of the graphics, like stuff that we're putting together, like over as a hologram, like over the field. Like, there's so much stuff you could do, which they just
Yeah.
they just don't do up to this point. So, no, the answer is no.
Is that a production thing? Is just kind of the old school? If it's don't broke, don't fix it.
Adam, I'd be lying to you if I said I knew. I'm guessing it's more. I'm guessing it's more that, and like a lot of old school people who are like, "This is what works. We just put two dudes in the box and one person on the sideline and have them talk and call the game."
Right.
But
Right.
I mean, Amazon, like the Thursday night games are probably the closest to them doing some creative
Yeah.
things with the broadcast. But even still,
It's so
Yeah.
funny because Dante said that in the chat that they're trying, but they need more. They need more across the league, just in general.
yeah,
No, no, I've heard it from like former players that went on to do color analysts and how they start off trying to give all this information and stuff, but they get told by the production heads and executives and like, hey man, dumb it down a little bit. Like people don't want to hear all that X and O stuff. Just and I'm
They
just like,
absolutely
I do want to hear the X and O stuff. So I mean, maybe they're right. Maybe there is some data there that people just want to hear like real basic football stuff. But I just know what I see, man. I just know a ton of fans want like real high level stuff.
yeah. It is an interesting question from like, so here at the Bouska household, right? Like I'm watching that game with my wife and my three kids, and like like maybe there's another few people over, but
Right.
if there's 10 people watching the game, there's probably only 2 or 3 of us who are like actually care.
Sickos. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me tell you, if you quit your corporate job to start a company based on football, you're a real
You
sicko.
sick, bro. You real sick, bro.
Big sick.
Yeah, yeah. So
Me and
I-
Adam,
yeah,
me
I
and
don't
Adam
know.
still got our day jobs. So
Yeah, yeah. That's why we're recording at 9 p.m.
9 p.m., bro. You already know.
almost midnight over here.
Yeah. Ryan's 2 hours ahead.
Shit, I was like, these guys must be West Coast. Sorry, I don't know if I was supposed to say that on the pod.
You could.
You have no idea.
I did when you reached out, I went and watched some of your stuff, and I was like, oh, these dudes are smoking cigars. Like, it's like I can do this.
You Yeah, you're
That's just
completely,
me.
completely. Yeah, that's just right. I don't smoke. I got asthma, but I completely just be yourself. And this is as someone who like you're like one of the scariest things, and I think you can speak to this better, even better than us, is just being out there free and being open and taking a chance on yourself. Right? It's such a bet and a gamble, and like Ryan just said, like we still have our I got lucky in life to find a career and working and driving, trying to save kids lives the best that I can, and that like I don't see myself doing anything other than that like as my like career. But that said, even us just like like we're like, dude, we're doing well, like we should probably make become a business and become official. But then when you start a business and become official, that means there's responsibilities and there's like income and taxes and all of it. And so what
Yeah.
has that, I know it's you guys are in the very opening, very early stages of Field Vision, but just hearing you talk and hearing what the actual vision is, it sounds so fascinating. How's that journey been for you?
Yeah, it's first of all, I appreciate it, Adam, and well, both you guys, and I would say like it sounds like what you do for work is an amazing calling, and has quite a bit more purpose than like me starting a football data company. Um, but look, I think I was telling my wife the other day, it's like it's terrifying and exhilarating and fun and exhausting, and it's all of those things in the same day every day.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, I don't know. I think your term "sicko" is a good word, maybe.
Is your wife
But there's
Sasha or
a
is that your brother?
Sasha's my brother.
Oh,
But that's so funny because he's been mad his whole life because people think his name's a girl's name.
well, he's watching our YouTube stream right now,
He
and
is.
he yeah, and he
What
commented in the chat, "Fearless leader," referring to you. So
what's up, Sasha? Uh, um,
love it.
yeah, one of my Sasha's gonna love this, but I was thinking about when you were asking, like, and maybe it's just because we were on the heels of such a riveting presidential debate the other night, but uh,
Sorry.
one of my there's a really good quote from an ex-president that talks about how Americans have like I think it's an endless capacity for risk and like an endless capacity for risk and a um like a gift for reinvention. And I just love that. Like I feel like this our country in general was built on people like taking risk and like reinventing themselves as they go through their career. And so that's like kind of how I think about what we're doing at Field Vision right now.
Yeah, man, I love it, man. I love this. Just just trying to find niches out there. Trying to find I mean, there's a demand for this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like there
Yeah.
is a definitely a demand. I know me. I'm always looking. I don't play fantasy. I don't gamble, but I just like. I love just finding the data, and I'm not one of these people that just depend all on data because I love the battle that happens between the tape watchers and the coaches and stuff like that, and the data people, the analytics people, and there's that kind of battle going on.
The
I love that whole thing.
the,
Go
the
ahead.
never ending battle of is running the ball lead to like more effective play actions is just going to be one
Oh
that
yeah,
just will
like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
my dude, Patrick Claiborne. We've been talking about fussing about
oh
momentum for like
motivation
10, momentum, man, momentum.
momentum.
Does
That's right.
momentum exist?
Momentum.
Uh, I was listening to a podcast recently that was trying to quantify clutch. Like, can you quantify clutch? Is there such thing as a clutch quarterback, or is that something we're kind of making up in our heads?
No, there
It
absolutely is.
of course, and
A
it's
hundred
just
percent.
fascinating. Exactly, but it's so fascinating trying to quantify that stuff with data because sometimes the data shows it, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes we're just not collecting the right data. So I just think it's just so fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's just
We
it's funny too because I think some of those things is just you know it when you see it. Like I don't think there's any
Yeah,
data to maybe quantify it. Like I know that Patrick Mahomes is one of the most clutch quarterbacks ever played it because we've seen it. Like I don't need
yeah.
numbers to show that we've seen it. So it's just it's all fascinating. It's
yeah.
late. It's late. I wanted to ask Scott one more question. What is like something since you started Field Vision in terms of the data mining or what have you that I don't know if I won't even use like yeah, like a Eureka moment, but something that you and the team is just so proud of just being able to kind of quantify with the data you guys have put together and come up with in terms of analyzing it.
Yeah, that is a great question. I think what I would say is it sometimes it feels like there's two camps in football, right? There's like either the camp which is like data tells you everything and that's the answer, or the camp of like we're old school football dudes and like we can watch it with our eyes and we know who's good and who's not. And
Right.
the thing that I think has been fun for us as we've started to, and I'm sure Cody talked to you guys about like we're developing kind of these proprietary metrics around like havoc rate to rank defensive players, or like we're calling it threat rate to rank offensive players.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that.
is when you put together metrics like that, what you find out is that they reinforce most of what your eyes tell you, right?
Right.
Like they're gonna tell you last year it was like CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, right? Like these guys were the best receivers, but they also tell you things that you didn't see with your eyes, right? Like they also that like for example, how good Amari Cooper was last year, which I think like we all like in retrospect you kind of knew that, but like he doesn't get talked about in that upper tier,
Right.
right? But he had an amazing season, so I think it's like it has been fun, and I actually oddly starting this company, I fall more in the camp of like the football traditionalist because I played and I'm like yeah, like I can watch and know Mahomes is clutch, but I think that like what we've learned is that the data um, reinforces a lot of that, and it shines light on new things, which is actually where opportunity lies.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So what I mean, what do you guys got coming? You talked about the app that's supposed to be coming soon. What do we got cooking for 2024 NFL season?
Well, we're launching the Field Vision app probably the Sunday before the NFL season starts. And actually, if you look at starting July 15th, we're going to be putting out. I mentioned our kind of like branded metrics, havoc rate,
Right.
threat rate. So we'll start to put out rankings like cornerback
Ooh,
rankings, linebacker rankings,
nice.
team defense rankings, and we'll kind of roll that all the way into the season. But yeah, Apple launch before the first game. There'll be a free trial. There's lots of free content that people can get without paying for anything. So look out for it. I think people enjoy it.
Oh yeah,
Hell yeah.
without question. I said I had one. My last one. I lied. One last one. This is my official last one. Anything that surprised you about the data. It could be about a player, it could be about a team, it could be about maybe something that when you were watching a team or watching a player, you thought you saw it a certain way or saw a player or a team a certain way, and the data said maybe the opposite.
I feel like you might have stumped me.
Yeah. Derek Carr's ranking on deep passes, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Derek Carr being the number one rated passer on the deep left part of the field.
Right.
Uh,
Well, I mentioned
Which
that
which is
because
funny because he's always been like a good deep like that's one like attribute of his has always been
but the thing is, I hear like when I listen to other podcasts, they talk about Derek Carr as a check down artist, which he is. But I just think I wouldn't say underrated, but like last year, it was almost frustrating at times because it was
yeah it
like,
was
bro, throw that 8 yard pass down the middle. Like why you
Yeah.
like like you don't need to throw it dumb it downfield. Like that's a low percentage throw. Like it was frustrating sometimes last year. Like, bro, like take the 9 yard out route. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's right there. So it was just funny to
we
just seeing your data show that,
Yeah.
you know.
we
Yeah.
have a watch party on Zoom that gets live streamed during game day to all our Patreons. So it's, sometimes it's 15, 20, 25 of us deep watching the Saints game all together in the same time. And to Ryan's point, there were so many plays last season where we were just like, bro, like, why are you throwing the ball so deep right now? Just it's like it's right there. Like the player is right underneath. He's open. And it was just like chuck, chuck. So
Yeah.
yeah, that probably is one of
I
them for
mean,
me.
this is probably like as Saints fan, this is probably cutting you guys too deep. But the thing that drives me insane about Derek Carr is his like ridiculous body language and like facial
Oh
expressions.
Going
man.
back to leadership, we talked about it with Aaron Rodgers. We had a whole spiel. Was it Monday night Monday night football with the Jags when he's like becoming like irate at Chris Olave, and Chris Olave
Oh,
didn't wrong like for running the wrong route, but he didn't run the wrong route. It was the right route.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
he's also just like taking like dropping back 2 steps and just like throwing it up over it, like like on the left side of the
oh
field.
my god.
That's our quarterback.
That's not quarterback, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, could be Spencer Rattler by game 7.
Hey,
Spencer Rattler, Jake Hayner, like I something,
something, man. Something.
just add a little spice to
Look,
the
like,
football.
you're a Chiefs fan. Look, before 2017, you knew what it was like being in quarterback purgatory or looking for that quarterback.
Those Alex Smith's teams were.
Not purgatory, man. It's purgatory. He
I
was
feel like
cool.
it's
Well,
like Alex Smith's
hey man.
purgatory and like Derek Carr purgatory feels like two different types of purgatory though.
I don't know, bro.
Well, it's true.
They
But
did make the playoffs.
before Alex Smith, there was Matt Castle and Elvis Gerbach and Trent Green and Dave Craig and Joe Montana when he was like 50. So, yeah,
Yeah, you
Those
good now,
Trent
though.
Green, those Trent Green Chiefs teams are pretty goddamn good though.
Oh yeah.
I will
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. I'll give you that. But they managed to lose in the first round of the playoffs every time.
Scott, man, as people like we are both doing, we're all three of us doing this podcast late at night. It just goes to show like we love what we do and we're passionate about what we do. So thank you for coming on so late. I know you probably had to pick a time where the kiddos were asleep and all that, but very excited for Phil Vision MI. Definitely something that we're going to heavily promote as the football season
Hell
comes
yeah.
around because it seems like it's right up our alley. Get our listeners downloading it and just wishing you guys all the best. It sounds like the niche that you guys are wanting to reach out to is just perfect, and it just seems like it's just something so different in a very heavy data driven sports football market. So thanks for coming on, man, and just chopping it up with us and telling us about Phil Vision, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, listen, man, you dudes are awesome. Thank you so much for having me on, and thanks for what you guys do. And hey, I'm happy to come back on anytime. So, just let me know, man.
But we'll like midpoint in the season, we're gonna have like a field vision, like maybe like December, November, or whatever. We'll have a field vision kind of follow up with how you guys are doing and seeing how the Saints are doing early in the season.
Let's
That'd be dope.
go. I'd love to. You can check our math.
Hell yeah.
No, that would be my girlfriend. Jay, if you read my draft article, that was all the numbers all come from her. That's all her. But
All right. All right. Good. Well,
she,
tell her to subscribe.
She is an epidemiologist, so she would be more along the lines of like, can I do this as my sidekick type of thing? Like that's
Yeah.
the type of stats that she does. But appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming
All right.
on, and we think we can't thank you enough, man.
Yeah. Awesome, dudes. Talk to you later.
All right, man. Have a good one. So that was our amazing, just fun conversation with Scott. Please follow Phil Vision at Phil Vision MI on Twitter, X, and then on Instagram, it is Phil Vision Sports. Thank y'all for joining us late. We don't know what time it is, but you know, good ass episode. Like you can't ask for more, man. Can't ask for more.
For real, man. That was awesome. Can't wait to see what they got coming out, bro. Like that's gonna be some good
Yeah.
shit.
So we will be back sometime, probably not before this week. So enjoy the time out, real quick. We're wrapping this up. So the Saints announced some practices are gonna be open in New Orleans. One at the Superdome. Where's the other one at?
Tulane Stadium.
There you go. Oddly enough, there has been no announcement made regarding any of the practices in Irvine.
Nope.
Getting to the point where it's looking like they're not going to open a single practice while they're in Irvine for almost an entire month, including joint practices against the 49ers from the 15th to
Nope.
the 16th.
Nope.
Just can't think of a bigger way to slap a fan base.
And they gonna give us two nice practices when they come home after August 20th. It's like, what are y'all doing, man? Saints, what are y'all doing? What are we doing?
It doesn't make sense, man. Like I could guarantee you, with all the people just Patreons who are out here, we could have been at least 15, 20 deep, bro. At least 15, 20 deep. And now, nothing. More than likely, nothing. It just bad. It's bad business, bro. It's bad business.
And you got a team where you got a fan base that's becoming apathetic.
Someone got in my mentions and said, and when I was on my tangent on it on Twitter and was like, damn, they really doing the fans like that? I was ready to fly out to Irvine.
You know what I'm saying? Like you talking about Saints fans here. Talking about Saints fans, bro. Come on now. All right.
Okay.
Saints say, here, damn. Take these two practices.
All right. I'm just saying, like, coming off the two seasons that they've had, you have a head coach who's 24 and 46. You have Derek Carr as quarterback, who had played at best an average NFL quarterback at best, even just going by field vision's standards, and it matches exactly what we saw. Although he played way worse than average at times. It just feels like like no one in the front office gets it. No one gets it.
We couldn't give away tickets last year. Couldn't give them away. Begging people, please take
Please.
take the ticket.
We stopped even putting qualifiers on it, Ryan. You didn't have to answer
You
a
got
question. You
Patreon. You got me.
nothing. Just take this shit off me.
Nobody wanted it, bro. Like, come on. And y'all can't help the fans that do want to see y'all asses. Y'all can't open up a couple practices. Like, those dogs. Trash.
Dante said, "How many ways can they show they hate us? From the Loomis pressure to the tongue-in-cheek schedule release to this. I don't. They it's like what Ryan said, man. When no one is worried about their job, right?
Yeah.
This is what you get when everyone's like all made. Like the only person that may be worried about their job right now is Dennis Allen, but the true people, Mickey Loomis, Dennis Lucia, they
Chilling.
good.
Chilling.
Like what impetus do they feel like they have to change? I mean, I could get a whole tangent regarding my job, but when you have people who are not even enabled, but they keep getting the message that whatever they do, there's no repercussions or no consequences to it. This is what you get, bro. Like no one's gonna, and I feel like I'm the only person, you too, but like we're the only people who are really even bringing this up as an issue. Like
Everybody else like it. It's like
no offense to like Saints media, but like it's weird, bro. Even going back to when me and our dude Julio went to the training camp practice last season with the Chargers and the Saints, and I get it, the Chargers are out here, but the Chargers opened the practice up, and the thing that is more frustrating about this whole thing is that there are no barriers that would keep the Saints from having fans at the practice.
No.
The Chargers and Rams are okay with it. The NFL is okay with it. We know that the facility that they're going to be at can fit fans and it's accommodated for fit fans because the Rams were out there last year. So the only thing that is stopping them is either want to or they don't want to sell out the money to do it.
That's
Maybe
it.
both.
I don't know. Either way,
Broke,
it's bad business.
broke bitches. Broke bitches. Broke bitches.
Oh.
Anyway, had to get off my chest, man.
Had
But
to.
it's maddening, man. But anyhow, we appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for joining us so late. It was a great episode. If we're not back before this week, we probably won't be. Hope everyone have a 4th of July, even though this country is
Ooh-wee. Stinking. Ooh, big shit.
nigga. Like someone thought they was gonna fart and they just messed up their drawers, bro. That's the U.S. right now, bro. The Olympics though, the Olympics this coming back, bro.
USA. The height of our patriotism.
What's wrong with us, Ryan?
Oh no, man.
I don't know either. Anyway, have a good 4th of July. Try to enjoy. I don't know.
Enjoy yourself, man.
Please be safe. Enjoy. Make as always, man. Make memories with the people that you love. That is a testament and a model of our podcast, man. So just make memories with the people that you love. Be safe. Have fun. But anyway, we'll be back next week. With that, we're out.
Peace.